can we expect about the integrated brand thinking?
A lot. You were wondering what is a branding guy doing talking about product design, but actually when you think about it, consumers begin to form an impression of a brand with what? The products. So we have a way of applying brand thinking into the ideation of products. We call it quick track. It stems back to my interest in helping Vietnam, specifically helping the economy of Vietnam.
So welcome back to the podcast series Richard Moore Associated with Motion. In the previous episode, we discussed about the reason why Mr. Richard Moore relocated to Vietnam, his work in brand strategy, as well as his journey in supporting Vietnamese businesses in building their own brand images. So this episode, we will discuss more about his passion for sharing knowledge with the next generation, as well as the professional communities, and in particularly his upcoming book series about brand thinking. So, Mr. Richard, good morning.
Good morning.
So, first questions. I think that at this point, the book series is being finalized and will soon be available to the public. Am I right?
That's correct.
Okay. So, I'm very curious about what inspired you to start writing books, and why book but not any other kind of content format?
Well, actually, it was a lot of that other kind of content that I was doing at first here. I first came in 1993, and the following year I came back with a road show of a seminar, day-long seminar, workshop for designers, 3-day workshop, and a week-long exhibition of design work. There was a lot of that kind of media, and I decided that I would continue my career here, and I would also share what I knew. I really wanted to share what I knew, because I knew that Vietnam would need this, as it was shifting from a planned economy to a free economy. Along with the seminars and workshops that I conducted in the early days, Vu Kim Hank, who was the editor of Saigon Tiptee, asked me to write some articles in Saigon Tiptee about marketing communication, and I did that. And after that, she suggested that I write a book, and so I did. That book was called Branding for Leaders, and it was very popular. And then there was another book that followed in 2007, following Vietnam's entry into the World Trade Organization, and also the flood of foreign brands coming into Vietnam. So the Vietnam Economic Times invited me to write a series of articles about branding. And so that was a year-long weekly column that I had writing about my passion of branding. And when that concluded, I created a book out of that. It was called Creating a Strategic Brand Image. So that's the history of my coming around to being an author.
So the series of 3, including 3 main topics, which is creating a strategic brand image, the evolution of integrated brand thinking, and thinking about the box. So what is the ultimate goal of creating these series?
Well, it stems back to my interest in helping Vietnam, specifically helping the economy of Vietnam. Ultimately, that helps the people of Vietnam, and that's really what's behind all of my efforts to communicate about branding and about marketing communication in general.
So, as far as I know, that in the publishing industry, many authors face difficulties while writing books. So, did you face any difficulties during the process of writing the series?
Sure. I'm thinking of one of my teachers in design school years ago, and he told me that the reason that he became a teacher was he really wanted to learn more about what he was doing. And this is what I've found. In order for me to teach or to write books, I had to improve my profession. I had to learn more about what I thought I knew. So this has been a great opportunity for me to become a better professional, as well as to become an author. And in writing on a new subject, on any subject, there's difficulties. There's the challenge of learning. You have to be clear about what it is you want to say, and then you have to think about, especially me as a communicator, what's the best way of saying that? What's the best way of communicating that? But those are wonderful difficulties. Those are problems that are really a joy to solve.
So the obstacle is the way to make us like stronger when we overcome it. Am I right? Yeah. So how do you start because the knowledge about brand thinking is, I mean, is an expert that not many Vietnamese people understand at that moment, right? So how do you convey it, the expertise, into a very easy to understand way for Vietnamese readers?
First, I have to be clear about what I am saying, and to put it in as simple terms as possible, because many of the audience are not familiar with branding and branding terms. And part of it also is my career of being involved in marketing communication, in writing marketing communication and advertisement, for example. We typically use a very conversational tone of voice. It's peer-to-peer kind of talking, and I use that same conversational style because I'm most comfortable with it, and it also, I think, expresses the way I feel about communicating. So that's how I write.
So we keep like a casual voice, like talking to the readers.
Yes, yes.
Very good. In the series, what kind of message that you want to deliver to readers as companies, owners, and brand builders?
Well, it's really about how to make their businesses as effective as possible for the brand leaders. And branding is a very important part of that. It's the brand which customers perceive. And it's the brand which really must come out very honestly from a company and very clearly and very consistently in order for it to be perceived by consumers.
Well, so the insight has been evolved in 20 years, right? Since the first book you already created. Can you share more about it? How is it the brand thinking has been involved in the past 20 years?
Yeah, sure. We noticed that a number of our clients that we created very good brand identity systems for, and that other consultants created as well, were very strong in the first year or so of their application. But after some time, we found that the brand becomes weak. It's not as consistent as it was when it was first launched. We began thinking, especially over the COVID period, when we had a lot of time to be thinking, what we could do to make that knowledge of what a brand really is more effective within a company. And that was really the beginning of what we call integrated brand thinking. And essentially it is to take the essence of a brand and do something more than create brand guidelines with it. Many companies think that once you have the brand guidelines, then you have a brand image. And it doesn't work that way. Brand identity, having a strong brand identity, a clear and consistent brand identity, is very important because brand image is really the sum total of all of the communications, all of the experiences that a consumer has with the company. And so we look for ways of of formulating those experiences deeper within the brand than just marketing communications. And that's why we call it integrated brand thinking. Integrated brand thinking is in part a way of bringing the brand spirit deeper within the company, and also a way of expressing it more clearly and consistently and broadly outside of the company.
So in this evolution, there's also new concepts or new models being created, right? Can you share about it more?
Yes, as I began writing the book, I looked at some of the most successful brands in the world. And in the book, in the early section, readers will find 12 different case histories. The first 4 of those case histories, I think, are very important because just about all of the case histories after that, of how companies form a brand in relationship to what their company is about, not just the images they put out into the marketplace, but the way that they form an image by the way they work. Those first 4 are components of the others. And so I think those 12 case histories are very informative for brands about how they can form not only their communications, but how those communications relate to different things the company is doing in their daily business. So that's part of what's in the beginning of the book. Even before that, we take a look at what is a brand, and our thinking about that has evolved over the last 20 years. There's an author named Harari that you've probably heard about. He wrote a book about Homo sapiens and why Homo sapiens have created civilizations that are so essential. And he comes to the conclusion that it's because humans have the ability to believe in what he calls fictions, which are really belief structures, beliefs in government, belief in religion, belief in a team. So we find that it's the same way of thinking that we Homo sapiens think that enables us to believe in a brand. Really very similar kind of thinking. So that's like cognitive thinking. And then there is physiological thinking, the way the brand works. We look at the different areas of the brain which are activated when one thinks. And there's research that shows that it's very similar to the areas of the brain that are activated when one is experiencing the activities of a religion. It's the same sort of mechanisms, this tribal way that humans have in believing in something. So there's this kind of intellectual thinking at the beginning of the book through these different brand models before we begin looking at our restructuring of strategic brand identity or strategic brand imagery.
Okay, so very insightful information and uninspiring stories. The readers of the first book, Creating a Strategic Brand Thinking, already learned a lot of case studies about the successful companies, right? However, can you share with us here about like a case study that already successful when adopt the integrated new system, the new brand system?
It's still young, but we are applying it in pieces to all of our clients now. There are aspects of a strategic brand thinking in the book that are not covered with in the original book that you see here. We go into more depth in some areas.
Okay, so what's new about the strategic brand identity?
Well, I think the main thing about strategic brand identity services is that we've reorganized it along the lines of design thinking. Design thinking is a methodology used by major corporations around the world, a lot for product development, but for other matters as well. And there are 4 stages in this. There's research, analyze, ideate, and what we call demonstrate, the 4th stage. And as I was learning more about design thinking, I thought, well, gee, these are pretty much our stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. But the more I learned about it, and as I began to apply it to some of the new methodologies that fall under the umbrella of integrated brand thinking, I could see that the same structure worked for all of them. And so what this means is that within the services that we are providing now, there's a similar organization for all of the services, which means we can cross-fertilize as we are developing a project. So organization is one thing, but there are some new elements within each of these 4 stages that readers will find as well. For example, in research and analyze, we have more information about personas, the development of a brand personality traits rather, and also brand relationship structure, the way that large brands who have a parent brand and multiple brands under it can relate to the parent, to these other brands in a way that is not harmful but beneficial for both parent and sub-brand. And there is also information about the archetypes, brand archetypes, new thinking about brand archetypes that readers will find. Even in ideate section, there's more information about persona, but there's also more information about metaphors, the use of metaphors in branding, and also the use of brand stories. And then finally, when we get to the demonstrate stage, we have some tips on how to choose the best kind of prototypes to make for a brand identity manual that will be of greatest benefit for future designers and others who are using the manual to propagate more brand communications for a company.
So you mentioned about the relationship between brand identities, right? Brand identity and the integrated brand thinking. So what can we expect about the integrated brand thinking?
A lot.
Let me define it in 2 areas. One is about how to bring the brand attitude and image more into the internal workings of a company. And then another aspect is how to make the brand communications that you're sending out into the marketplace more effective. So internally, one of the things that we have developed is a way of using a one-day ideation session with department managers of a company to learn what are the touch points within their various departments that can make use of the brand personality, or the brand persona. This is a half-day ideation session just with department managers. And they ideate a problem like, in what way might we bring the brand personality traits into our day-to-day working affairs. And in the course of half a day, we have lots of ideas. These department managers know more about their department and how a personality trait could relate to that than anyone. If we were to be commissioned to do it ourselves, it would take months of interviews and so forth, and we still wouldn't know it as deeply as they know it. And then we have another converging exercise where we determine what are the best ideas and how we can improve them. And at the end of the day, those department managers are ready to implement these new ways of bringing the idea, the image, the feeling of a brand deeper within a company. So that's one way. Another method that we have has to do with product design. You were wondering what is a branding guy doing talking about product design, but actually when you think about it, consumers begin to form an impression of a brand with what? The products. It isn't really the company behind the products initially. They're looking at the products and how those products or those services can be of benefit to them. So we have a way of applying of applying brand thinking into the ideation of products. We call it Quick Trek, and it begins with different kinds of interviews, empathetic interviews with customers to find out more deeply what their problems are and how they might be solved. And then throughout the process, we use the brand personality to determine what are the best kinds of product ideas for the brand. There's other methods then that we have developed for the brand reaching out into the marketplace. And one of them is a evolution of integrated marketing communication, or IMC, which most marketing people know is a way of developing a consistent image, a consistent look, representing a marketing communication campaign. These are usually like a one-year campaign or a one-year set of criteria for all of these different kinds of media to follow. Actually, my firm in New York years ago was instrumental in developing IMC. And so it's been very successful worldwide. But where I think it fails is in the IMC marketing communication one-year span, typically relating to the brand identity. Often these marketing communications relate very well to each other, but not necessarily to the fundamental brand image. So we've developed a methodology that builds on IMC to ensure that all of the IMC communications are at the same time supporting the brand image. And by doing so, marketing communication budgets are much more effective. Brands get a lot more out of their budget by building the image at the same time they're solving their marketing goals. And another external use of integrated brand thinking is with something that's called ESG. But still, there's a lot of consumers who don't know what ESG means. It means environment, society, and governance, within a company. And although they don't know the term ESG, they care about those things very deeply. More and more consumers are looking at what a company is doing and to not harm the planet, what companies are doing to be socially responsible, what companies are doing to treat their employees and their various other inside government things correctly. People care about that. Consumers care about that. So it's a branding issue. And so we have developed a method whereby companies can examine their ESG practices, which more and more companies are adapting because A, consumers are demanding it, and B, governments are beginning to demand it with regulations and so forth. But there's not a financial benefit for them yet. So we've developed a way of of ensuring that ESG practices are related to brand image practices. So if a company's ESG practices can help build the brand image, the strategic brand image, well, all of a sudden, then it has financial implications. The stronger the brand is, the more profitable a company will be. And so they're getting a benefit out of ESG. That's another one of the services that we describe, methods that we describe in the book.
That's very interesting. So the practice of brand identity in ESG will also enhance the brand image, which have the long-term advantages to the company.
진짜.
How you package your original knowledge into this kind of book format?
Well, a lot of my original knowledge is not so original. It was original to Vietnam. When I first began practicing here, Vietnamese companies knew very little about marketing or marketing communication or branding. It was not too many years after Doi Moi. So you don't learn those things in a planned economy. In the United States, kids learn that by the process of going to supermarkets and so forth, even before they get to university. That information was not available. But I had it because I had lived it, I had studied it, I had a career in working with it. And so I had the opportunity of cherry picking the very best, what I thought were the best methods to bring here. And that's pretty much what I did. When I developed the methodology of strategic brand thinking, it was taking what was really state-of-the-art thinking about branding at that time and packaged it in a way that I thought would be beneficial for the mindset and the needs of Vietnamese companies in those early days, late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah.